Be'ez Hashem Yisborach, we begin Perek Chamish, the 5th chapter in the Hilchos Talmud Torah, the laws of learning Torah, which this is the second half of these halachas, which apply actually to the honor of those who learn and who know Torah, which in this perek specifically we discussed regarding the honor one has to give to his teacher, as Rabbi gives halacha alf regarding the preference of one's teacher over even one's parent. Just like a person is commanded regarding the honor and the fear of his father, so too is obligated in the honor and the fear of his teacher. And his teacher more than his father. Why? Because his father brings him to the life of this world. And his teacher who taught him wisdom brings him to the life of the world to come, which is obviously the purpose more than this world. Let's say he sees the lost object of his father and the lost object of his teacher. His teacher's lost object has preference and precedence over that of his father's. Let's say his father and his teacher are both carrying loads. You first help unload that of his teacher, and then that of his father's. If his father and his teacher are taken captive, he first redeems his master and then he redeems his father. Now, but if his father was a Talmudic scholar, then he redeems his father first. So too, if his father was a Talmudic scholar, although he's not the equivalent of the scholarship of his teacher, he first returns his father's lost object, then he returns the lost object of his teacher. And there's no greater honor than the honor one gives to his teacher, and no greater awe than the awe one has to have for his teacher. Which the sages said, the fear you have of your teacher should be like the fear one has of heaven. Now, continuing on the opposite of one who disagrees with his teacher. They said, whoever separates himself from his teacher, it's like he separates himself from the divine presence. Shlomo says in the pasuk Bamidbar, when you were fighting on Hashem, although they were only separating themselves from Moshe and his Torah, it was considered as if it was on Hashem, on the Shekhinah. Whoever creates a dispute, a fight with his teacher, it says like he's creating contention with the divine presence. Shlomo says in the pasuk Bamidbar, that the Jewish people were fighting with Hashem, which was really with Moshe, they Kaddish Bam, and Hashem sanctified himself with them. So to B'chol Misraim al Rabbi, whoever complains on his teacher, Misraim al Hashem, it's like he's creating a tumult on Hashem. Shlomo says in the pasuk in Shemais, Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, Lo yaleinu tlu nesechem, Kel Hashem. It's not on us that's your complaints, but rather on Hashem. And also B'chol Mahar Achar Rabbi, whoever thinks negative thoughts after his teacher is Kilu Mahar Achar Shechina, as if he's thinking negative thoughts about the divine presence. Shlomo says in the pasuk in Bamidbar, V'yidaber ha'am be'Elohim uva Moshe. The people spoke negatively about God and about Moshe, which about Moshe, but again, it's like as if you're being Mahar after the Shechina also. Halacha beis. Ezeu chelik al Rabbi. What's considered someone who's separating himself from his teacher? Zeh shekavei le medrash. This is someone who established for himself his own study hall. And he sits and he expounds and he teaches Rabbi without the permission of his teacher. But Rabbi Kaiman, his teacher is still alive. And this even if his teacher is in another country. And it's forbidden for a person always to instruct a halachic ruling in front of his teacher. Whoever instructs a halacha in front of his teacher, he's liable for death. Halacha Gimel. Now, if there was a distance between him and the teacher, a distance of 12 mil, and a person asks him a halachic question, then he's allowed to respond. Now, to separate someone from something that he's doing that's prohibited, then even right in front of his teacher is permitted to instruct. For example, let's say someone sees someone doing something forbidden. Either because he didn't know that it's forbidden, or because of his wickedness. He should separate him and tell him that was the that's forbidden. Even in front of his teacher. Although his teacher didn't give him permission to give a ruling, because anywhere where there's a desecration of God's name, we don't then separate honor to one's teacher. Now, but where do we say that, however, if he's a distance of 12 mil from his teacher, then he is allowed to give a halachic ruling? That's only b'davar shenikra mikra. That's only something that just happened to have come up. But to establish himself as a halachic authority, and to sit and to instruct to all those who ask, even if he's one end of the world, and his teacher is the other end of the world, it's forbidden to him to instruct until his teacher passed away. Unless he got permission from his teacher, then he's allowed to. Now, halacha dal continues regarding the student that wants to give instruction and teachings to the masses. Now, it's not anyone whose teacher passed away that is allowed to now sit and start giving instructions regarding the Torah. It's only if he's a student that reached to the level of giving halachic instruction. Any student did not reach the level of being able to instruct, and he does instruct, he's a shaita, he's a fool, he's rashi, he's wicked, and he's arrogant. But regarding him, the pasuk says in Mishlei, because many dead ones has he caused to fall, which in this context, hipila is like a term of a nafel, of a miscarriage, which has not gone full term. Here also, this person is not full term, is not fully matured in his learning, and is instructing other people, and therefore Rabbi Chalal caused many people to fall with their demise. And the other way is also true. A sage that reached the stage of giving instruction, does not instruct. He's holding back Torah. He's placing stumbling blocks in front of the blind. Regarding him, it says over there in that pasuk, now how mighty are all those who she kills, which atzumim is like the word eitzim einav, like closing the eyes, where he's making like as if he doesn't know, and he's holding back from ruling, and therefore he's causing so much people to have their demise, their death, by not instructing them. Now, these small students, that didn't really increase the amount of Torah appropriately, and they're looking to become great in front of the ignorant people, and between the people of their city. They jump and they sit in the front, to judge and to instruct the Jewish people. They're the ones that increase the disputes. They're destroying the world. They extinguish the lamp of Torah. And they destroy the vineyard of Hashem. It's regarding them, the Shlomo says in his wisdom, grab for us the foxen, the small foxen, that destroy the vineyard, in our vineyard are these unripe grapes, not yet fully mature, and they're destroying it. Those are these young foxen that they want to just show off and their greatness when they're not really appropriate to instruct the Jewish people. Halacha regarding the honor and the awe when it comes to one's teacher. It's forbidden for a student to call his Rabbi by his name. Not in front of him. And he should not mention his name in front of him, meaning even though he's not even calling his Rabbi. To call his Rabbi's name can't be even when he's not in front of him. But even if he's just calling someone else, Sheshmam Kishem Rabbi, that his name is like his Rabbi's name, no, he's not allowed to do that in front of his Rebbe, just like he has to do when it comes to his father's name. Rather, he should change those other people's names, even after his father's or his Rebbe's death. That is Shiyah Hashem Peli, if it's a unique name that was his father or his Rebbe's name. Where everyone's going to know that it is that person, because it's very unique. But if it's not such a unique name, like Avram, Yitzchak, Moshe, similar names, then you're allowed to call others the same, even though it's the same name as his father or his Rebbe, as long as it's not in front of his Rebbe or his father. Now, B'leitin Shalom l'Rabbi, one does not give a greeting to his teacher, or just to respond to his greeting, the way friends give greetings and return greetings. No, rather he bends in front of him, and he says to him with awe and with honor, Shalom Alecha Rebbe, peace be on you, my teacher. If his teacher gives him a greeting, he responds to him, Shalom Alecha, greeting on you, Rabbi Amari, my teacher, my master. Halacha Vav. He also does not take off his tefillin in front of his Rabbi. But neither does he recline. Rather, he sits like he's sitting in front of the king. Neither does he daven, not in front of his teacher, not behind his teacher, not on the side of his teacher. You don't have to say that he cannot walk on the side of him. Rather, he distanced himself at a distance behind his teacher, but it shouldn't be directly behind him. And then he davens. Rabbi doesn't go with his teacher into the bathhouse. Rabbi doesn't sit in his teacher's place. Neither does he weigh in on as if to decide regarding his Rebbe's words in front of him. Well, he says the Rebbe shouldn't contradict his words. He shouldn't sit in front of him until his teacher says to sit. He shouldn't get up in front of him until he tells him get up. Or until he takes permission to get up. When he takes leave from his teacher, he shouldn't leave with his back towards the Rebbe. Rather, he walks backwards and has his face facing the Rebbe's face. He has to stand up from his teacher when he already sees him at a distance as far as his eyes can see. And that's until he is concealed from him, where he doesn't see his height anymore, then he can sit down. A person has to also greet the countenance of his teacher on the Yom Tovim. One does not separate an honor to a student in front of his teacher. Unless the teacher would generally give separate honor to that student. All the works that a servant does for his master, a student does for his teacher. But if he was in a place that they don't recognize the student, and he wasn't wearing tefillin at that time, he's afraid that maybe they're going to say who is a servant, so then he does not tie or untie his shoes. Whoever refuses to allow his student to serve him, he's holding back from him kindness, and he's removing from him the fear of heaven. And any student that disgraces any one of the things from all of the signs of honor that is necessary for the teacher, it causes the divine presence to be removed from the Jewish people. A test regarding tearing one's garment for the passing of one's teacher. If he sees his teacher violating the words of Torah, he tells him, our teacher, you taught us such and such. Doesn't tell him, oh, you're doing something wrong. And anytime he mentions a teaching in front of him, he says, this is how our teacher, you taught us. He shouldn't mention something that he didn't hear from his teacher until he mentioned the name of the one who said it. I mean, you have to say it who said it, but when you're saying it in general, then it's presumed that it's your teacher. But when you're saying something that he didn't say, you have to say which sage said it. When his master passed away, when his Rebbe passed away, he tears all his garments until he uncovers all the way down to his chest, and those garments should never be fully mended forever. Now, when we say this, by his outstanding teacher that taught him the primary of his learning, that he learned from him the majority of his wisdom. But if he didn't learn the majority of his wisdom from him, he's like what's called a colleague. He's a student / colleague of him, and he's not obligated to honor him all these things that we mentioned. But he has to stand up from him, not but at a distance of Dalaramas. And he does tear his garment when he passed away. Just like he tears his garment for all the people who die that he mourns over them. Even if we don't learn from him one thing, whether it was a small thing or big thing, he stands up from him when he comes in, and he tears his garment from him. Now, any Talmud scholar should that his personality traits are dead on, they're really focused right. He doesn't speak in front of someone that's greater than him in wisdom. Although he didn't learn anything from him, he treats that person with respect and doesn't talk in front of him. Halacha Alf regarding the teacher pardoning his honor. The primary teacher that wants to pardon his honor regarding all these things that we mentioned, or any one of them, for all his students, or to one of them, that's his option. Now, although he pardoned, still the student has the obligation to glorify him, meaning to do the basic respect, even at a time when he was pardoning him from the special honor that the Rebbe Muvik is given. Now, the relationship that a teacher should have to the students. Just like the students, as we mentioned, are obligated in the honor of the teacher, so too the teacher has to honor his students and to bring them near. This is what the sages said, the honor of your students should be as dear to you as your own. A person has to be very careful, with his students and to love them, Shem Habonim, because they are the sons, Hamahanim Bo'il Mazeh B'Lo'il Mabah, that give him pleasure in this world and in the world to come. Because we know, B'Shnat Lebenecha, the students are called sons. Halachid Gimel. Hatamidim Meisifim Chachmas Harav, and the students increase the wisdom of the teacher. Machim Liba, and they expand his consciousness. Where the sages said, there's much wisdom that I learned from my teachers. But more than that, from my colleagues. Umitamidim, from my students. More than them all. And as we find, the kashem she'etz cut madlik esagol, just like a small piece of wood, is what helps flame the large logs of wood. So to a small student sharpens the teacher until he comes out from all his questions that he's asking the teacher, a splendid wisdom, and therefore one has to treat his students with great in the most appropriate way and to love them, because the more than anything the wisdom of the teacher is from the students themselves.